Hello, everyone, and hello, Chris McRae. Thank you so much for joining us from Canada.
Hello, Maurice. So nice to talk with you.
And so we're connecting in order to better understand what you will be presenting at the 2020 Oprah Retreat in Zion National Park in Utah next year. That's taking place April 23rd to 26th for part one, where you will be presenting a track. So you've been to Zion before. You were part of our faculty in 2017 when we
Yes.
had I think it was our largest conference to date, and
Oh,
it was, I think, very, very successful. How was your experience then?
I love Zion National Park. Of course, I've always loved the Oprah retreats anyway. You know, Maurice, I was at that very first Oprah meeting so many years ago, and I've been to every retreat. Everyone is different, and everyone is so inspiring. And I'm hoping that I can just keep coming and coming and coming. I learn so much, and I get very inspired. Oh, there are pictures of Zion. Zion is so magnificent. I have driven through it several times over the years, and I love it so much because it's such a magnificent, yes, there's animals there, but you can see how the road turns and twists. Every
Mhm.
turn of the road is a new, awe-inspiring experience. I find it very inspirational, very even spiritual, Maurice. I love that area. So I'm so glad we're going back there.
Yeah, and last time I took an extra day to explore a little bit
Yes.
more because there's so much to see. Even, if we have the chance during the talks to take a break and
Yes.
explore the mountains. So your track, yards, grand trines, grand crosses, and patterns that intensify our soul growth. I'm going to read the description very quickly. The evolutionary journey of our soul through the growth challenges that are outlined in our natal chart. These are observed through various planetary patterns such as the T-square, the Grand Cross, the mysterious yard, and the groupie stellium. Each of these challenge us in different ways, either through our natal pattern or periodically as they develop by progression or slow transits. These will be explored in participants' chart with ways to enlighten the process and make significant progress. Understanding is a fulfilling experience. Learn from a consulting astrologer who has studied these through thousands of clients and student charts with rewarding results. Wow. So tell us a bit more.
Well,
Why did you? Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I see that every chart, I feel that every chart has some kind of a main theme or a thrust that goes through it. And many times it could be one of these patterns. There are many patterns the planets can form with each other in the chart, but these are very powerful, very dynamic. They don't occur in every chart, but they occur in a significant number. And you
Yeah.
know that, yes, and they do challenge us to our greatest achievements. And I do feel that they give us an opportunity to expand on our evolutionary purpose. Um, I don't know. I think many times we ask, what do they expect of us?
Mm.
These great patterns. And I think with knowledge, we can enlighten that load because they are strong, they are powerful, they are driving, and we can do so much with them.
Yes, and like you wrote here, you use the word mysterious yards, and I think they're often referred to as the finger of God, as some kind of fated configuration. What did you mean by mysterious in your context?
Well, I think probably this is a personal reference of mine because when I first started studying astrology, there really wasn't much information, and I became intrigued by it for some reason or another. And I did a prolonged study of them. And over the years, I have changed my attitude about them about 3 times.
Oh,
So
well,
it makes me think there's something mysterious, there's something deep, there's something very especially challenging about these.
I think that changing our points of view is actually a healthy thing because it means we're learning something as years go forward. And so, if people don't know, these tracks, one of them led by Chris McRae, and then Kay Taylor on relationships, and Monica Domino on declinations, are basically part of the schedule where participants choose a track and they immerse with that mentor for 3 days. But there are other activities aside from the track, including day one. I'm going to scroll up here, where we have 4 short presentations about bridging science and spirituality. So Roy Gill is going to speak about liberating science of astrology, karma, and reincarnation. Anne Ortley is going to speak about the draconic chart. I'm going to speak about research, and Honor is going to speak about the approach to determining some spiritual factors in the natal chart.
Excellent.
And then on the last day, we have a panel of 4 astrologers who will speak about different arguments made against astrology by the skeptics and those who usually come prejudiced. But one of the arguments is that people who have, twins who are born, with what they think is the same chart and end up sometimes with different lives. So some people use that as an argument to say, well, astrology doesn't work, they should have the same life. So you're going to speak about that. Twins, same chart, different lives, or is it so?
As I hear you talk, Maurice, it reminds me of a situation where I had a couple of young girls who wanted to come and see me because they were twins, born only a few minutes apart, and yet they were significantly very different, and yet they had certain parallels in their lives. And they were curious to know how astrology would look at that. They said, there can't be anything to astrology when we were born so close together, and yet we have so many differences. And of course, my curiosity was alerted. And when I did up the charts, I discovered that they had different rising signs, simply because one of the girls was born at the end of a sign and the other one at the beginning of the sign, which meant they had different ruling planets. So I thought that was an interesting example of how people can be misled without fully understanding.
And the misconceptions of generalizing patterns in astrology. Not all Leos or Tauruses are made equal.
Yes, ain't that the truth?
And
yes.
So if there was a case where twins would be born by cesarean or really with the same ascendant, would you say that they would have the same life or similar patterns?
I would think that they would surely have similar patterns, but we are individuals, and we do have individual forms of expression. I believe the patterns would be very similar, but they're not going to marry the same man. That would be impossible. However, I did have a set of twins that I did know very, very well. One of them worked for me in my television business many years ago, and they both married similar types of men. They married on the same day. They both had one child. They lived in different communities, and they took the same university degree. And yet, they lived in, as I said, different locales. Oh, yes, their similarities were so similar, and yet they had different forms of the way they expressed themselves. One went into business for herself and one worked for me. There is an example.
Well, we look forward to examining those charts. I believe you'll bring some of these examples
Yes.
and explore this theme because I think it's puzzling many people.
Yes.
And along, on this panel, we'll have Christopher Rainstorm, who is going to speak about how religion sees astrology, and
Right.
and actually he's going to speak about how there are parallels and how there are actually connecting threads between what seems to be foreign to astrology. And then Gemini Brett is going to speak about what is actually the zodiac. What are we working with, and he's going to obviously look at the astronomy aspect of it. And Russell Olhausen is going to speak about the codex of the cosmos and how basically the zodiac integrates into the fabric of nature. And I invite everyone to go to the website. You go to the top here, events, and then you click on schedule. And in the schedule, you'll see the description of all these short talks, including additional short talks by 4 other astrologers about the secret history of astrology, the discovery chart, what does it reveal, Uranus and Neptune as a pair, and the spiritual and scientific side of medical astrology. So we're all blending this theme, which is astrology uniting science and spirituality. And you can look at the descriptions of the last day 4 panel with Christopher, Gemini, Chris, and Russell. I think it's important. I think as astrologers, it's not just about trying to convince people that astrology works, but it's about understanding ourselves, what we're actually doing.
What a magnificent program, Maurice. You put these together so beautifully. You're a genius.
Well, it's the whole team.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, we hope it's going to stimulate different parts of our mind, the abstract, the inspiration, and then the more deductive, and of course, the community aspect. Because one of the things we do at OPA is we make a point that people eat together, and that's why we have everyone buy their meals together. And we look forward to Zion.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the program. I'm also excited about being back to Zion again.
And just a quick note that the prices will go up in September. So now is the time. And these are strong transits, which are great to commit to this study program. So thank you so much, Chris. And we look forward to next year.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.